Thursday evening, Hudson County TV attended the Union City Housing Authority's monthly meeting. Things got interesting when legal counsel Julio Morejon revealed that Thomas Coben, a former special counsel for the Housing Authority, had been served a subpoena back in November. According to a letter written by Coben submitted to the board, he notified former legal counsel Libero Marotta back in November, but board members claimed that they hadn't heard a thing about it until Thursday night. Beyond that, the Union City Concerned Citizens Group went on for nearly 2 hours with a plethora of questions about Coben and Marotta. Take a look inside and see how heated things got.
The meeting revolved around the fact that Coben, an attorney for Chasen, Lehner, and Lamparello in Secaucus, received a subpoena from a federal grand jury back in November. According to legal counsel Julio Morejon, Coben notified former board attorney Libero Marotta about the subpoena when he received it 3 months ago. However, the board members stated they were never notified.
On November 27th, and I was not aware of this until Mr. Coben contacted Mr. Morejon. Mr. Coben communicated with the previous attorney, Marotta, letting him know about the subpoena and that he wanted to speak with him regarding the client privilege issues that was discussed. Whether there was any discussion between the two of them, I don't know. So I guess he was going more as representing us or as a witness.
Yeah, this letter that Mr. Cabello is referring to was provided to me by Mr. Coben. Apparently, he had sent this letter to Mr. Marotta back in November 27th.
I didn't know.
When he notified Mr. Marotta that he had been served by the subpoena.
So this letter became knowledge to both you and the director
when Mr. Coben
sometime
contacted in December.
After I was retained.
Right, after he was retained.
and Mr. Marotta never mentioned it to you?
No.
So anyway, in any event, so I then...
Obviously nobody in the board knew either, right?
What I told Mr. Coben is, it was my duty then to present it to Mr. Cabello to then present to the commissioners for discussion as we're having now.
Coben was the interim attorney for the Housing Authority after Mateo Perez had been fired and before Marotta was hired in 2010. Union City Concerned Citizens Group member Frank Alonso questioned the board as to why they would hire Marotta knowing that he pleaded guilty to a felony, which makes him ineligible to serve on the board according to rules set forth by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, better known as HUD.
My question being then, we consistently speak about HUD guidelines. In the HUD guidelines, the attorney that represents the board cannot ever be disbarred, have his license suspended, okay, and or pleaded guilty to any federal offense, and that's a felony, okay? So this board, and Mr. Morejon, I won't say you because you feel like I'm attacking you, and I'm really not. I just want clarity or transparency, I should say. This board continue comfortably to vote and hire willingly and knowingly a felon, an attorney who unfortunately I happen to like, and he's a great attorney, but took wrong steps in his career and was disbarred. So we continue to approve hiring Mr. Marotta to serve on this board knowingly and willingly, knowing that he was a felon and had been disbarred and had his license to practice law in the state of New Jersey suspended.
Alonso went on for nearly an hour, also calling out Chairman Marty Martinetti for previous resolutions he approved and statements he made in past meetings. Martinetti took exception to the questioning, implying that he did not know how reliable the minutes for previous meetings were. The minutes for the December meeting were tabled, and the board as a whole agreed to hire a court stenographer, but Executive Director Virgil Cabello still felt Martinetti's comments were directed at him, and he spoke out to defend himself.
No, could you please let me finish? If you allow me to finish, Mr. Chairman, please. Because now I'm being put on the spot here. Okay, and I have to then respond myself because I see where this thing is leading to. Mr. Coben was hired to do a job. He told that the procedure that we had in place was no good. We were doing it wrong, and he took it from there. What I said that I didn't find out about this committee until the day of the meeting, and that's on the meeting of the 2012.
And did I
All
not
right?
accuse myself?
Wait a minute. Let me finish. No, you asked me something and I would like to go on the record. All right? I had no idea that Mr. Waldo and Margarita were there. I found out when I also said, did we get the stuff, but the recommendations back from the attorney? I called Mr. Coben and he told me I already had a committee, and I found out there were both of these fellows, which I asked you. I said, Waldo, what happened here? No, we got called and we did it. So
Okay.
that was done actually behind my back, if we're going to be quite frank about
it
it.
was done behind mine too, because I wasn't involved with that. I recused myself, and I was aware of the committees or meetings or whatever was taking place.
Alonso then said that Martinetti falsified a resolution by writing abstain instead of signing his name on a 2010 resolution that fired Perez, a claim that Martinetti and Morihone wrote off as an opinion, not a fact. UCCG attorney Eric Dixon, as well as group leader Emilio Del Valle, also asked questions to get under Martinetti's skin, but the most important piece of information came when Dixon asked Morihone the details of Coben's subpoena.
Well, my other question is that with Mr. Coben and this grand jury subpoena, I've got two questions.
Sure.
The first is, I'm not clear as to what's the nexus, the connection between that subpoena and the Housing Authority. And my second question, which is not related, but it pertains to the subpoena, is this a federal subpoena, a federal grand jury subpoena, or a state?
Okay, I can address that.
Go ahead, please.
All right. As to the first question, it's a federal grand jury subpoena to testify, subpoena to testify before a grand jury, issued to in the name of Thomas Coben. And as Mr. Coben said in his letter that's attached here too, what is that, the resolution? And this is his words. And this is in a letter from Mr. Coben to Mr. Marotta, dated November 27th of 2012. I understand that I will be questioned regarding my role with respect to the authority's retention of general counsel. You know, the federal government doesn't say much, especially when you've been served with a subpoena. But it was a subpoena to provide testimony that had been convened by the U.S. Attorney's Office for our district.
I'm John Hydes with Hudson County TV. For more information, log on to HudsonCountyTV.com.